Mike, we're on.
Oh, okay. Sorry. My computer's running slow. Now I'm thrown off. I was trying
Welcome to Dad's Watching Sports.
See, Kyle, this is where a normal co-host, the one that doesn't just call himself a talent, if he truly was the talent, he would jump in and say, hey, welcome to the show, and start talking and doing
this
something.
This is episode 57, Sunday, March 21st, 2021. We're broadcasting live on the Off the Ball Network. You can catch us up on all of the social medias, the Facebooks and the Twitters. Do we still have an Instagram, Mike, or no? Is that
Oh, yeah. We're still on the gram.
Still on the
gram.
We
still get down with the gram. Don't you worry.
Catch us everywhere. Download us wherever you download podcasts. Rate us, review us, subscribe to us, all the good stuff. But come entertain us while we entertain you. Leave us a nice little comment, and we'll reply back live on the show. It's a whole lot of fun. All right, Mike, I have done the intro. Would you like to pick it up from here?
That was very good. Having not done it before, I'll give you a B+ for your efforts there. So
there's a reason I'm the talent.
But well, as Kyle said, this is episode 57. It is Sunday, the 21st of March. He is Kyle Castles. I'm Michael Draper. We are the dads who watch sports. Kyle already talked about on the Off the Ball Network. And we are really excited to be continuing to be a part of that. We are broadcasting live right now on their Facebook page, also on their Twitter feed. We're doing a Periscope. So we want to get everybody involved in the show. And we've got a great show for you. So we're going to get into, obviously, March Madness is going on right now. We've had some good games today, a lot of upsets over the past couple of days. So we'll talk a little bit about that later on the show. Kyle, you missed it last week. Jeff Hunt and I went through the field of 64 and 32 for our March Madness moments bracket. You missed out on that. You chimed in a little bit there towards the end of the show. So we're going to finish that in terms of going on through the Sweet 16 in this episode. So looking forward to that. What did you think about some of the moments that we voted on last week?
Hey, it's hard to argue with the way y'all went through the bracket. I even thought I was going to be able to argue with Jeff, but then he made the really good point, and so I had to just agree with him as there. So I really appreciate Jeff. Thanks for filling in for me. I was I don't know. I was busy.
There you go. Aren't we all? So we're going to get to that later on in the show. We're also going to be joined by Stewart Brooking later on to help us go through that. We always got to have a tiebreaker. So for our votes, just in case Kyle and I have difference of opinion, which happens every once in a while. And so Stewart's going to join us here in just a little bit to go through the Sweet 16. Kyle, we also put all those matchups online on our Twitter feed, and we got some votes. So if we won't have a tie with three people, obviously, but if we feel like, hey, we need to go to the Twitter vote just because one of these is a little outlandish, then we will do that because everybody voted on those. So Stewart is the host and creator of the Morning Brew with Stu podcast, also part of the Off the Ball Sports Network. So make sure you check that out. But we'll have Stewart joining us here in just a little bit. All right, Kyle. So let's get to some topics that I wanted to get to with you before we get to March Madness. Kind of first off, obviously you mentioned you were out last week, and thanks to Jeff for filling in. Everybody that's a fan of this show knows kind of what you guys were out in LA for with, your son Jack and the tree nut allergies and the treatment, all that. Tell everybody really quickly if they're interested in kind of following along where they can follow along, where you guys are really kind of updating that the most.
Yeah, so my wife has set up both a Facebook and a Instagram page, both titled Jack's Journey to Food Freedom. It's all one word, I think, on Instagram. And so that's where she's kind of doing it like a blog, and so she's posting pictures and updates on everything that is going on as we move through this program. We have officially started the program, and so we have different foods that he's having to eat at different times during the day, and just trying to make sure that we do everything by the book, because I mean, essentially we're taking his allergies and feeding them to him.
Yeah, and I can't imagine how that's got to be. So, again, you talked about where you can find all the information about it, but just talking about what that's like. This is a show about being a dad, and so just talk us through a little bit about, like, what has that been like to not only go through the process, but then, like you just said, your son is literally eating the food that he's allergic to that could cause some really detrimental harm to him, but that this is the way to get him through it. What has that been like?
It's really tough. So we had different challenges that we did throughout the week, food challenges while we were out there, and the first one, which was Brazil nuts. It's a very, very small amount that he's having to eat. And so they grind them up real small, and he could choose. He could take the small amount of Brazil nuts and eat them mixed up in chocolate or in applesauce. And he picked chocolate, and for whatever reason, he didn't want to eat it. It was a fight. It was not fun. We all but held him down and force fed him those Brazil nuts and the chocolate. Because we've already spent the money on this, and we know that to get there, he has to go through this. So that was a complete fight. I think there were tears from all three of us, me, my wife, and him. But we got through it. Since that point, once we got past that first challenge, I mean, he's eaten everything without problem. So there's a difference between challenging and dosing, and dosing is where it gets smaller. Once you get through a challenge, he can basically eat as much of this as he wants now. So he can have as many Brazil nuts, peanuts, and peanuts are a tree nut, but they did blood work and skin prick tests and patch test, all to determine how allergic he was to certain things. As it turns out, like, his two anaphylactics are pistachio and cashew, but he has a number of things that he's sensitive to, is their term. So things that he would eat that he wouldn't have an anaphylactic reaction, but at least he would not feel good in some way. It could show up physically. It could just be like gastrointestinal. Well, we don't really know. But he had a bunch of those in there. And so we're kind of working on those to, give him a little more comfort there as he eats some stuff as he grows up. But, and so peanuts was the first, actually. So peanuts we did the second day we were there. Third day is when we started, food challenges. But we started with peanuts, and the way they do peanuts is peanut M&Ms.
Not a bad way to take in your peanuts.
Not at all. And that's part of his plan, is every morning he has a certain amount of things he has to eat, and one of those things is he has to eat 4 peanut M&Ms every day for the length of the program.
Nice.
And so that's part of his morning routine, is to pop 4 peanut M&Ms. Now, if we just said, hey, we have some peanut M&Ms, would you like some? He would eat a whole bag. But when we said you have to eat these peanut M&Ms, he ate like half of one and goes, I don't want this anymore. And like, of course you don't, kid. Just eat the M&Ms. It's candy. Just eat the candy. So he's a 4-year-old. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You got a 4-year-old. You understand. But he's doing really well. So everything he has to, and this list is going to continue to grow, because So there are recommended foods that he has to eat 3 to 5 times a week. So that's apples, pears, what they call stone fruits, basically any pitted fruit. Peaches are the best. I think peaches and cherries are the best for him there. And he's got to eat buckwheat. So we have some buckwheat flour that Lauren makes cookies with.
Nice.
To get his buckwheat in. So those are 3 to 5 times a week. And then every day it's 4 peanut M&Ms, flaxseed, pumpkin seed, Brazil nuts. He has to eat every day. It's a small amount. And we basically mix it with yogurt or applesauce or chocolate or whatever it is he wants to eat it with. Mix it all up in a little bowl. And, I mean, we can do it right now with like 2 bites of applesauce, and he can basically get everything in.
There you go.
So,
well, obviously, you guys are definitely continuing to be in our thoughts and prayers. And we'll, if you're interested in keeping up with Jack and Kyle and Lauren's story, or if you've got a child who's going to go into the same thing and just want to reach out to him for some support or some questions or whatever have you, again, you can go and check out, I believe it was Jack's
Journey to Food Freedom.
There we go. Check it out on Facebook. And again, thank you for kind of updating us there, Kyle. All right, Kyle, something else I had to get your take on here since you were out last week is your boy Drew Brees finally officially decided to hang up the cleats. He had his kids on Good Morning America or some show, given kind of the announcement that he was going to be spending more time with them. How are you, man? How are you holding up with knowing that there is no more number 9 under center for your New Orleans Saints?
Look, it's okay. It's not.
Is it?
I'm a Saints fan going way back. 3-13 was normal. So whatever. We have Jameis Winston at this point. Jameis can get us to 7-9, 8-8. It's still pretty good in the overall history of the Saints. And at the end of the day, we still have Sean Payton. Drew Brees was not Drew Brees in San Diego. He became Drew Brees under Sean Payton.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's strong there.
I'll say it. I don't care. I don't believe. I mean, look, the Chargers went out and drafted Phillip Rivers. If Drew Brees was Drew Brees, why would they go get Phillip Rivers in the first round? 3, 4, 5 years, right? Drew had the shoulder injury, like all of that. And he still was able to come out under Sean Payton and become, what I would consider top 5 quarterback of all time.
Well, I'm glad I'm glad you mentioned that. I'm glad you mentioned the top quarterbacks of all time. So
yeah, segues.
Perfect segue. So if you're ranking top 10 quarterbacks all time, and we're going to have probably almost the exact same list. It may just be a little bit different. Your top 10, you give me your 10 through 5, then I'll do mine, or 10 through 6, and I'll do mine, and then you go 5 through, or then I'll maybe do 5 through 1, and then you. All
right. So number 10 is probably going to shock a lot of people, but when you start looking at his numbers, and not just in the NFL, you didn't say top 10 NFL quarterbacks, you said top 10 quarterbacks. You start looking at his numbers from the USFL. I think he was in the USFL, even in the Canadian League before he got to the NFL. And Warren Moon, that sucker could sling the football. So I got Warren Moon at number 10. Number 9, this is a guy that went to 4 straight Super Bowls. He lost all 4, but he went to 4 straight Super Bowls, which is not done very often. So Jim Kelly running that offense up there in Buffalo was a thing to watch. Another USFL guy. Number 8, I have the guy that came in after Montana in Steve Young. And really what I remember about Steve was just he brought in that a lot of that athleticism to the quarterback position. I know we had seen some athletic quarterbacks prior to him. Fran Tarkenton's the first one that comes to mind. But Steve Young was able to do some things that a lot of other quarterbacks, at least at that time, weren't able to do. Number 6, I have Brett Favre. I mean, he was all over the record books when he retired. I understand that a lot of his records got broke. And those guys are above him on my list.
Yep.
But his durability, I think, sets him apart from most.
Okay. Well, so I've got a few on my list that are.
Do you want my number 6, or are you going to just interrupt me?
I thought you just gave number 6. Isn't 6 Favre?
That was number 7.
Oh, well, you said 6 was Favre.
I'm sorry.
We'll
Number
pull the
7 was
tape.
Favre. Number 6 is Joe Montana. I have Montana outside the top 5. And here's the reason. Here's the reason. I understand he is a winner and he wins and he does all of these things. But this is a team game, and you can win without the best talent if you have enough talent around you.
What? No.
If there's enough talent around you, you can win without the best talent. He didn't have the strongest arm. He wasn't the most accurate. He wasn't the most mobile. He was good enough to make everything else around him go. He ran the Bill Walsh system very, very well. That doesn't mean that he's the best quarterback ever. It just means that he was in the right place at the right time with the right coach, with the right cast of characters. When you have the greatest football player to ever live out there running routes for you, it makes life a whole lot easier.
So I'm interested to see then where Brady fits on your list with that whole spiel there. So Bars Talks jumps in and says Montana out of this top 5. And yeah, I'm thinking the same thing. So does Chris LeBron, says outside the top 5. Kyle, we're all agreeing with you right now in the fact that you're absolutely crazy.
I'm not crazy. Only one of us out of the 4 people here, the two fans, Chris LeBron, the God, and you, only one of us has actually put pads on and played beyond high school that I know of.
and that makes you, yeah. Okay.
It means I have more knowledge about the game.
That means
I understand what
jack
a good quarterback
crap.
looks like.
That doesn't mean a dang thing.
It means that I know what good quarterbacks look like. Go ahead and give us your 10
because all those great quarterbacks that you played with. Okay, so here we go.
Actually, pretty good quarterbacks.
My top 10. 10 through 6. Number 10, I've got Bart Starr, legendary quarterback for the Green Bay Packers, and there's another Packer on my list. Number 9, I've got Roger Staubach. Number 8, Terry Bradshaw. And number 7, I got Brett Favre.
Whoa. You got Terry Bradshaw on this list in the top 10. Terry Bradshaw threw more interceptions than I can count. This dude was not that good. He had the steel curtain defense.
He does
turn around and give the ball to Franco Harris. It wasn't him. He didn't win games. He managed. Give me a guy that can win games.
Are you kidding me? A Hall of Famer managed.
You're absolutely right. A Hall of Famer. Look at the numbers. Look at the numbers. Go ahead with your bull crap.
Hall of Famer managing.
Yeah, go ahead. Go with your bull crap.
I'm going to go ahead.
You don't know what you're talking about. Like
Kyle's been muted. Because Kyle can't take the fact that he doesn't know.
You can mute me, but I can unmute myself. Let me explain something to you. You can do your little Google.
And Kyle's been taken off the stream because Kyle can't learn how to be quiet and let other people talk here. So Kyle has been taken off the actual stream. Still ranting in the corner. I can see him down there, but he's not getting any airtime because, Kyle, you had your time to talk. You had your time to talk about your nonsense about Joe Montana, but not being in your top 5. And then I had my chance, and here you are just completely running over me here. And I don't appreciate it, man. So you've been taken out. So let me get back to my top 10, Kyle. My number 6 is Johnny Unitas. So I've got Bart Starr, Roger Staubach, Terry Bradshaw, Brett Favre, and Johnny Unitas. And Kyle, I'm going to bring you on here if you can agree to behave, I guess. Here we are, dads, and I have to worry about talking about behavioral with my 4-year-old and my 2, and here we are with a grown man saying, Kyle, just calm down, brother. Calm down, man.
Yeah, you're lucky I'm not in that room with you right now because I'd have just jumped up and been right behind you yelling at you continuously.
Absolutely. Well, all right. Well, I'm going to continue my top 10. Go ahead. My top 10 list because we got to get out. We got to move on to bigger and better things. My top 10, and let's be brief with these. My number 5 is your boy Peyton, and you're going to put him at number 1, and I don't care. Number 4, I've got Joe Montana. He's my number 4. Number 3, I've got John Elway. Number 2, I've got Tom Brady. And number 1, Kyle, I've got one and only Dan Marino.
Okay. Thank you for at least having Marino in the list. I started to get worried.
Are you kidding me?
But here's the thing. I don't know where Drew Brees fits for you, but he is a top 5 quarterback of all time. His numbers
says the homer.
His numbers don't lie. His numbers don't lie.
Okay.
He put up the same numbers as Brady in fewer years. Like, his numbers don't lie. Okay? So, number 5 is Drew Brees. Number 4 is John Elway. Probably the most talented person we've ever seen behind center. Number 3 is Dan Marino. He is the best thrower of the football we have ever seen at the position. Marino had the arm strength and the accuracy. Nobody can touch him. All right. Number 2 is the most cerebral quarterback of all time and won games with his brain and didn't have to have an arm. And that is Peyton Manning. Number 1 is the GOAT.
Okay, so you rag on me for having Terry Bradshaw in my top 10 and saying, oh, he was part of the system and he had these great athletes around him and he had this great defense. And yet Tom Brady is your number 1, where a lot could be said that he was in a great system in New England. He moved to
you think he moved to Tampa Bay and he's in the same system though?
And I didn't say he was in the same system. I said he has a lot of talent around him.
You have to have talent to win Super Bowl.
So Brady is your number 1.
I'm not putting it all on the Super Bowl wins. I'm not doing it all on Super Bowl wins. The reason I have Brady there, the reason I have Brady there is because he has done it so well for so long.
I'm not arguing against Brady. I think he should be there. I think he should be there. But your same logic
weren't really him winning. Let's be honest. No. But Brady has been so great for so long. And here's the thing. He wouldn't be number 1 for me until this past season. When I saw him do it away from Bill Belichick, I said it's done. There is nothing – there has not been a person better than TB12 playing quarterback in any league. I don't care if it's a flag football league. I don't care if it's the NFL, college, high school. It could be daggum senior citizens league. I don't care what kind of numbers anybody else puts up.
It's about to be.
TB12. TB12 is the greatest quarterback of all time. I still don't know that he's the greatest football player of all time. I still may give that to Jerry Rice. But
Kyle, here's my thing. And we'll put this to rest. I'm not arguing with you about Brady. I just want you to be consistent, my man. I just want some consistency on how you graded those. And there was no consistency.
I am consistent. I never said anything about the reason that he is the greatest is because he won 4 Super Bowls or 8 Super Bowls or 7 or whatever it is he's won. My point is he has been great for so long.
It's not no. We're gonna agree to disagree.
Bradshaw was not great for so long. Bradshaw was the middle of the pack type dude.
We're gonna agree to disagree, Kyle.
I'm not even agreeing to that.
Well, do you know what? We've got Stewart backstage here that's ready to come on and talk some tournaments. So I'm just going to kick you off, and we'll go with Stewart for the remainder of the show, and we'll let him go on here. But we do need to go to a break. We're way over in terms of time, so we're going to go to a break. When we come back, we're actually going to flip the script on our segments a little bit, and we're going to go ahead and come right back and go into our March Madness moments bracket. That way we don't have to keep Stewart waiting too long. So we'll go into the Sweet 16 when we come back, and we'll talk some March Madness bracket moments. We'll be back right after this break on Dad's Watching Sports. Big news in the Dad's Watching Sports podcasting world. You've heard us mention it on the show already. We are now part of the Off the Ball Podcast Network. We're super excited to be joining the team of great shows, hopefully adding a little dad flavor to the mix. You can check out Off the Ball Podcast and Off the Ball Network on all your social media sites. Just search Off the Ball Network. And while you're there, give them a like and a follow. You won't regret it. Welcome back to Dad's Watching Sports. Michael Draper and this other guy who doesn't know anything about what he's talking about. He is Kyle Castles. Now, Kyle, I'm gonna kick myself for doing this, but I'm gonna give you some props here, and I'm gonna throw a comment up on the screen. And when I do it, I know how you're gonna react, and that's okay. I can handle it like a grown up. So Chris LeBron says TB12 number 1. I like your list, Kyle. I hate you. All right, quarterback talk. Let's get into the actual entertaining sport that is college basketball. Forget football. Nobody likes it anyways. Let's get into some March Madness, Kyle. We'll talk later in the show about how the tournament's been going right now, but we talked earlier in the program about our bracket. We had a 64 moment bracket. It was broken up into regions. You had the Jimmy V region, which was the number 1 seed, the UMBC region, which was the number 1 seed, the Nova and Chris Jenkins region, which was the number 1 seed in that region, and then Christian Laettner's shot, which was the number 1 seed. So our Sweet 16 came down to NC State, George Mason back in 2006 making a run to the Final Four as an 11 seed. Ewing versus Hakeem in the championship game. Magic versus Bird is the 2 seed in that region as those guys matched up in the championship game. Then you've got Chris Jenkins in the shot at Villanova for them when they won the championship back in 2016. UNLV 1990 is the 12 seed in this region. They just kind of ran through everybody. The 3 seed in that region, the Chris Jenkins region, is Michael Jordan coming on the scene with the game-winning shot for North Carolina. It will be going up against the 2 seed, Bo Kimball, making the free throw left-handed for his friend Hank Gathers. And we'll kind of go through the rest of the region here, the rest of the regions here in just a second. But we're going to bring on Stewart Brooking. He's going to help us make these picks of this bracket. Stewart, my man, how are you, sir?
I'm good. I'm upset I missed the quarterback discussion.
I know you're a big quarterback guy. I know you're a big quarterback guy. So briefly, and not to put you on the spot, if you had to make a list of your top 10, who are you going with?
Oh, top 10. That's hard. I can give you a top 5.
Okay,
I don't know if I can give you a
top 10.
Top 5. Number 1 going into the season is different than who it is now, but 1, I think I'm about to go Brady as well. I think 2, I have Manning. 3, I have Rodgers. 4, I have Marino, and 5, I have Joe Montana.
Okay, so Aaron Rodgers, Kyle, somebody neither one of us had. I just, as a guy that's a big fan of Brett Favre, I just couldn't do it. I couldn't put Aaron Rodgers up there because the way that those guys kind of went at each other towards the end of the Favre tenure and Aaron Rodgers coming on board. But anyways, we'll move past that. But definitely wanted to get your take really quickly. All right, so first, before we get into our bracket, first tell everybody a little bit about yourself and about your show and kind of what you have going on.
Yeah, I'm Stewart Brooking. I have a podcast called The Morning Brew with Stu. The best way I like to describe it, obviously, is is a national show. I try to describe it as like a national show that isn't as well produced, which in some instances could be a bad thing, but I think I do a pretty good job. My takes are, I don't say things for hot takes or clicks, shall I say. So like if I say something, I believe it. So if I have a take out there, it's a take I believe, and it's one I stand by. And most of the time I'll stand on the table for my takes. I've now extended the show to 2 episodes a week.
Nice.
In the second episode, so like the first episode, which I'll record tomorrow, it'll be out Tuesday. I will be by myself. I'll kind of give my opinions and thoughts and stuff, and then the second episode will be recorded and be out Thursday. And I'll usually I have a guest on the second episode of every week to kind of grow other people's brand and to help give a different perspective, because I know hearing my voice once a week is already enough. So I couldn't imagine having it twice a week without somebody else there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's funny that you talked about, the kind of national scene or national stories, but and the producing is, we kind of pride ourselves on this show, Kyle, of show prep or the lack thereof. We have some technical difficulties every once in a while. Well, and Stewart, I don't know if you happened to catch our show maybe about a month ago, but I've got a fire alarm or smoke detector right back here. It started going off mid-show. We really pride ourselves on the professionalism, not only of the content, as you could see with us arguing earlier, but also about the production and all the technical issues that go on with it. So we're right there with you, man. It doesn't matter. We just continue to do our thing.
Yeah. I mean, I would say I try to produce it as well as I can.
Sure.
I try my whole thing. And like the thing I hate about some of the podcasts I listen to, especially like me, being a college student graduating, I want to have a future in talk radio. So I kind of, if you're just editing stuff down, you take out all your bad parts or whatever, then like you're not getting like a real feel for what it is. So I try to give it as much as like if you're tuning into ESPN and you listen to Max Kellerman or Greenberg on the show, like kind of a real authentic feeling to where it's not edited down and all that, jazz and mumbo jumbo. So I try to give it as real of a feeling as I can as like it's live.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, good deal. Well, thanks for coming on with us this week. We're looking forward to getting into our March Madness moments bracket, and we're going to do that right now. So this is kind of how this all shakes out. So what we'll do is we'll go through each region. We'll highlight the matchup. And then each of us will vote. There are 3 of us. What we may do, and I mentioned this at the start of the show, what we may do here, if I'm feeling a little excited about it, I may forfeit my vote and we'll go to the Twitter poll because we did put all these on Twitter as well. And I want to make sure that the fans and everybody that voted gets to make sure that their voices are heard and represented on the show. So, guys, we're going to start in the Jimmy V region. We've got the number 1 seed, NC State / Jimmy V. It's one of the more famous moments in the tournament. You know, they end up getting the tip in for the win in the championship game against Houston. Jimmy V's running around like a madman looking for somebody to hug. That moment is going up against the 4 seed, which is George Mason. You guys may remember 2006, they were the 11 seed, made a huge run all the way to the Final Four where they lost to the eventual champion Florida Gators. So, Kyle, I'm going to you first. We got the 1 NC State or the 4 George Mason.
This one's really difficult. I mean, what I'm trying to do in my head is separate the Jimmy V moment from the Jimmy V speech. Was it the ESPYs?
Yeah.
Because when you tie them together, nothing's going to beat this Jimmy V moment. But we are talking about the best moments. Is the George Mason run really a moment? I don't know how to. I'll go with the NC State and Jimmy V, but it's difficult.
You're overthinking it already, Kyle, which I love. Okay, so Stewart, we got 1 vote for NC State. Again, the moments are there for you to take a look at. NC State or George Mason?
I'm going to go with Kyle. I'm going to say the NC State Jimmy V moment. I mean, like you said, right? When you picture March Madness, I don't know about you, but there are certain moments that pop into my head, and Jimmy V running around like a madman looking for somebody to hug is one of those. And I feel like if that's a moment that just automatically pops into your head, then that's a top NCAA moment. And March Madness moment, and to me, that's the one for me versus George Mason.
No doubt. I'm right there with you guys. I would have voted that anyways had we needed a tiebreaker there as well. So we will move Jimmy V on to the Elite 8, and it will face he's the 1 seed, or Jimmy V and NC State are, and they will face the winner of our next. And this is a really interesting matchup because it's 2 individuals that at that time were really kind of the highlight of college basketball, and it was the best player against the best player for the championship. So you've got Patrick Ewing for Georgetown versus Hakeem Olajuwon for Houston versus it was just the year after NC State had shocked Houston versus the 2 seed, which is Magic Bird, Michigan State, Indiana State. They went on obviously to such a huge rivalry in the NBA with the Celtics and Lakers, but that's separate than this. So I'm going to vote first since I didn't get a chance to go in that. I think when you look at this, the Ewing Hakeem thing was great. And it's, the 2 big guys battling each other, and Ewing went on to be the first pick, and Hakeem went on to be a pick for the Houston Rockets, and they both had these great careers. But Magic and Bird, it's hard to separate what they did later on in life. But when you look at that and you see Indiana State in the national championship game, Michigan State had never been there before. You got the larger-than-life character of Magic Johnson, and then you got Larry Bird, who was so skilled, and people just fell in love with his game. So I am throwing 1 vote towards the 2 seed. That is Bird and Magic. Stewart, who do you have?
Yeah, so for me, when I looked at this, it was kind of to look at Hakeem did go to Houston, correct?
Yes.
And Ewing went to Georgetown.
Mm-hmm.
Georgetown now plays in the Big East. As a Butler fan, it is what it is. But here's the thing. I look at what did these programs do after Hakeem and Ewing left? And maybe this is a bad way to do it, but Georgetown had Iverson, Houston, they just lost earlier today, but were a 2 seed in the tournament. For me, I think I'm gonna go with Bird and Magic. One, because like you said, Michigan State had never been there. It kind of built Michigan State up into what we know it now. And then Indiana State has not been the same or been anywhere near what they were. As a guy who lives in Indiana, I have a lot of family and friends that have gone to Indiana State, and Indiana State's been nowhere near what they were when Larry Bird was there. So for me, that's the pick, Bird versus Magic.
All right, Kyle, where would you have gone?
This is probably the hardest one of all the Sweet 16 matchups. I think I would have gone Magic Bird, but if I had heard a decent enough argument, I easily could have been swayed to Hakeem and Ewing. So I guess we're 3-0 on this one, but it's tough for me.
And Twitter was Magic Bird heavily, so even if we would have been split, they would have helped us there. So Magic and Bird, the two, we're chalk in the NC State region. We got the 1 seed NC State versus the 2 seed Magic and Bird to go to the Final Four, and we'll touch base on that on a later show. All right, let's move to the Chris Jenkins bracket, aptly named for Chris Jenkins, who hit the game-winning three-pointer in the national championship game against North Carolina in 2016 for Villanova to win their first title since '85, and we'll get to that game here in just a minute. So Chris Jenkins, the 1 seed, going up against UNLV, the 12th seed. The 1990 UNLV team just completely ran the gamut, blew out everybody on the way to a championship. So, Stuart, I'll go to you first. You got Chris Jenkins or UNLV. Where are you going?
Yeah, when you look at that UNLV squad and the team that was beat or that was built there and how dominant they were for a stretch, it's very impressive. But for me, again, it goes back to the same reason I chose NC State and Jimmy V. Every time that we picture March Madness, at least for me, I picture Chris Jenkins hitting that three versus North Carolina to win the game. So for me, it's Chris Jenkins' three-pointer to win the game versus North Carolina.
All right, Kyle.
All right, we finally have one we disagree on. I'm going with UNLV dominating. I mean, I feel like that there's something about that kind of built some of the majesty of the NCAA tournament. And I mean, obviously UNLV was easily the best team that year, and so yeah, I'll go with UNLV.
All right, so you guys don't know where the voting is. I've seen it. Should I make my vote or should I go to Twitter? What do you guys think?
I say go to Twitter. I don't like you anyways.
Okay, well that's fair. All right, so Twitter. Let's see. Let me pull it up here. Okay, so in the 112 matchup, with 57% of the vote to 42%, in a shocker, UNLV, the 12 seed, will move on with the vote from the fans / Twitterverse. 45 votes in, 57%. I'll be honest, I was going to vote Chris Jenkins, but we'll put it up to the fans. And UNLV, their 90s run, is on to the Elite Eight, where they will face the winner of the 3 seed. It is Michael Jordan's arrival on the national scene, makes the game-winning shot against Georgetown in the championship game. Against the 2 seed, Bo Kimball for Loyola Marymount. He had just lost his teammate Hank Gathers, who died so tragically, shot a free throw left-handed in honor of his teammate. Kyle, I will let you go first on your vote for this matchup.
Look, Michael Jordan arrives. I mean, for the game of basketball, this is a huge moment. But when we're talking about best moments in NCAA basketball tournament history, Bo Kimball, if I remember right, he shot a left-handed free throw. The first free throw he shot in every game was left-handed. And I don't know, maybe I just have a soft heart, Mike. But that hits me more than MJ arriving. And not that that's not a big moment, but Bo Kimball's free throws are special.
Absolutely. All right, Stuart. You moving Bo on, or are you gonna give us a tie?
Oh man. It's hard because, like Kyle said, I don't want to be looked at as a guy who's heartless here. But when you look at it, I mean, we're talking about in most people's mind, the greatest basketball player of all time.
Well, people that are correct in their minds.
It's a different debate for a different time.
Right.
You talk about a guy who is perceived and deemed as the greatest basketball player of all time, and that's the game he arrives on. For me, I'm going to go with MJ arrives. Again, the Bo Kimball free throws are magical, and just the moment itself is great, but I'm going to go with MJ arrives.
So we got one vote for MJ, one vote for Bo Kimball. Guys, I pulled up the Twitter poll because I was going to use that, and it is split 50-50 with the votes in. So I am forced to make a vote. And this is tough. I mean, this is and the poll clearly indicates that, and so have we, and you guys, what you've talked about. I think what Stewart, what you've mentioned so often here is, what are those moments that we just kind of relive over and over again when we think about March Madness? And for me, because I am kind of a product of that time, it is Loyola Marymount, and it is Bo Kimball, and it is Hank Gathers. And so I've got to go Bo Kimball and move that one on. It's a tough sell because of knowing what Jordan has done after that moment and knowing that was his arrival. But I've got to go Bo with that one. So our second region is set in terms of the Elite Eight. We've got UNLV, the 12th seed, versus Bo Kimball, the 2 seed. Let's move up to the UNBC region. They're the 1 seed. Everybody remembers UNBC 3 years ago, knocked off the 1 seed Virginia as the 16 over the 1. And not only did they knock them off, they blew them out. I mean, they beat them by 20 points. So that's the 1 seed. Going up against the 5 seed, Mario Chalmers for Kansas. They're down 3 late against Memphis. Memphis doesn't foul. Chalmers nails the 3. Kansas goes on to win in overtime, beating Derrick Rose, Calipari, and company. Kyle, I will let you go first. UNBC or Mario Chalmers?
God, these are all hard. The 16 beating the 1, I mean, you never thought that was going to happen.
Right.
But what you see moving forward from that point are a lot, we had another 15 beat a 2 this year. We're going to see that more and more. That's just the first of a long string, especially if we continue with the one and dones, because, if you get a senior laden team that's been through the fire, they might be able to sneak up and catch a full freshman group of ones that are kind of starstruck by being in the NCAA tournament. I think you're going to see a string of those. But, I didn't go Chris Jenkins hitting his 3 to win it, but I will go Mario Chalmers hitting his 3 to win it. There's something about Mario Chalmers. I've always just liked the guy. So I might be a little biased here.
All right. Well, I don't care what you are, but UMBC, a 16 beating the 1 for the first time ever in the history of the NCAA tournament. For me, that's got to be one of our best moments. So I'm moving them on. So it's tied at 1 apiece. So Stewart, you get to break the tie and send somebody home and send another moment to the Elite Eight. Who you got, UMBC or Mario Chalmers?
Yeah, that Mario Chalmers game versus Memphis is one of the first national championships I remember watching, ever. And, it was the Derrick Rose Memphis team led by Calipari. They were really talented. But I'm going to have to go with UMBC for the strict fact of, it would have been one thing and probably a little more had they won on a buzzer beater and they weren't really the better team that day, but they blew them out. Yeah. They blew Virginia out. They were clearly the better team. So for me, that is the route I'm going to go down, is UMBC being the first 16 seed ever to win, to beat a 1 seed.
Yep. And that's for me, I think that's the correct pick. All right, let's move on.
I can't argue. I mean, both of them are great moments, but so I'm not going to
doubt about it. Let's move on to the next matchup in that region. So the winner will get UMBC of this matchup. So we've got the 11 seed Rip Hamilton. Is 1999. Rip hits a shot against Washington. Huskies go on to win the national championship. That shot, I believe, moved them on to the round of 32 at the buzzer. They go on to win the title that year, upsetting Duke in the championship game. Then you go to the 2 seed where they're matched up again. Here's another Villanova moment. It was 85. Huge upset of Georgetown, really kind of widely known as the greatest upset in NCAA tournament championship game history and maybe even tournament history until UMBC a few years back. So you got 85 Villanova over Georgetown, or Rip's shot to send the Huskies on. Stewart, we'll let you go first.
I'm going to go 85 Villanova just for the simple fact of it being, like you said, going down as one of the greatest, upsets in March Madness history before UMBC. You probably could have argued and said that it was the greatest. So yeah, Villanova 1985 for me is the one.
All right, Kyle, you going to send them on, or are you going to split the vote?
Yeah, look, we all like Cinderella stories and Rip Hamilton and the 11th seed, and this is where Cinderella, it's turned into a pumpkin. Whatever the carriage is, it the carriage? It turns into
the carriage.
Pumpkin?
Yeah. I don't think Cinderella turns into a pumpkin.
Whoever. Fairy godmother turns into a pumpkin. There's something turns into a pumpkin, and something's turned into a pumpkin.
We should know this, man. We're dads. We've watched the movie. Come on, we should know this.
We don't watch Cinderella at my house. My baby girl's only one. You got the 4-year-old girl.
That's true.
No, but 85 Villanova. Yeah. I'm sure you were going to pick that one too, right?
I was, and even Twitter. I mean, 91% of the vote went to Villanova in that matchup. So Nova is moving on to the Sweet 16 or the Elite Eight. So they'll face UMBC in that regional final. All right. The last region we have here is the Christian Laettner region. The 1 seed is the Laettner shot, 92, Philadelphia against Kentucky. Sean Woods just made a bank shot. Patino and the guys are going crazy. I'm going crazy as a 8-year-old University of Kentucky fan. I'm going nuts. And then Grant Hill inbounds. Laettner pivots right, comes back, turnaround jumper. Laettner didn't miss a shot the entire game. And Duke wins. They go on to win the national championship. That is against the 12 seed, Mateen Cleaves. It was 1999, I believe. The little dance as they were heading on to the Final Four. Michigan State getting back to the Final Four since the first time since Magic took them in 79. I'll go first. This pains me because, again, I cried. I mean, I literally cried after this shot went in, but I've got to go Laettner shot. Again, it's one of those moments we will never forget. We've had buzzer beaters before it. We've had buzzer beaters afterwards. This one, for what was at stake, and the two teams, and Kentucky had been on probation, and they made their way back, and it's just it is what it is. It's a great moment. So I'm going Laettner shot. Stewart, what do you have in this matchup?
I'm going to go with you, Laettner shot as well. I mean, he was, the classic Grayson Allen, or shall I say, Grayson Allen was the modern day Christian Laettner. I mean, he was the bad boy. Nobody liked him, and to top it off as an ultimate screw you moment, it was to hit a buzzer beater in a national championship. So for me, I'm going to go Christian Laettner.
Yeah, we try not to use that name too much around here in the Draper household. Kyle, would you have gone Laettner or Mateen Cleaves?
Hey, I loved that Michigan State team. They were a lot of fun to watch, but that Laettner shot is – when I think NCAA tournament, that's the first thing that comes to mind, and I apologize for that, Mike.
No, that's all right, man. It's the first real moment that I have as caring. I remember watching basketball, but not really caring that much, and that's the moment. I mean, I literally cried. All right, the next matchup, Kyle, it's got one that's kind of near and dear to us in the fact that Bryce Drew, the 3 seed for Valparaiso in 1998, Ole Miss, I believe, was a 4 seed, 3 or 4 seed in that tournament. Valparaiso, huge underdog.
They were 12, right?
Yeah, I think so. So they would have been matched up as the 5-12. And Bryce Drew, I mean, just a perfectly drawn up play by his dad, Homer Drew, who was the coach. They throw it to the midcourt. Big guy gets it, turns, pivots, throws it to Bryce Drew. He nails the shot, and they went on to win the game, obviously, on that shot. That is the 3 seed in this region going up against Texas Western 1955, the all-black starting 5. They played Kentucky, got the win. It really kind of changed the way recruiting was done and acceptance and all that in the game of basketball. So we got the 3 versus the 2. My guess is this is going to be a pretty easy vote for us here, but we'll put it to the vote. Stewart, I'll go with you first. Do you have Bryce Drew or do you have Texas Western?
So the revenge in me wants to go against Texas Western because they beat my Butler team's Nat 2010 run, which I would put up near any run in college basketball, but they lost. So we're going to focus on this one. I'm going to go Texas Western for the simple fact of, the history surrounding it. And listen, I love the Bryce Drew shot. It's a shot that every year around March Madness, I throw on because, I want to get in the mood for March Madness, and buzzer beaters is what it's all about. But just the history, everything surrounding it, Texas Western, a school that, to be honest, you haven't really heard of since. And the only reason we do know them is because of this. They've made a great run. And for me, it's Texas Western simply because of the history and being able to win the national championship the way that they did.
And they got a movie made after it.
Exactly, right? Glory Road.
When Disney makes the movie after the moment, you got to go that. All right, Kyle, do you moving on Texas Western?
Yeah, I mean, and I'm sure Twitter agrees. Yeah. Look, that win over Kentucky was a Rupp coach Kentucky team, right?
It was, yes, yeah.
Not crazy, yeah. So I mean, a win over Coach Rupp. I mean, it was Yeah, it changes, and I understand I didn't go MJ for because he changes the game of basketball so great, and I didn't go with him. But the Texas Western win changes college basketball so much. You can't vote against it here.
Yep, absolutely. All right, and then there were 8. So we are down to NC State versus Magic and Bird. UNLV, the 12th seed, making its way to the Elite 8. They're going up against Bo Kimball. UMBC versus 85 Villanova, and then Christian Laettner versus Texas Western. That matchup itself is going to be very, very difficult.
Well, that one and the NC State Magic Bird is tough. Yeah, my goodness. We're going to need a third person because I'll guarantee you we're opposite on most of these Elite 8 games.
Yep, absolutely. So, hey, Stewart, man, we appreciate you joining us and helping us out with this, man. And again, tell everybody really quickly once more time where they can catch you out and where they can find you on social media as well.
Yeah, if you look at the nameplate, at StewPock5 is my personal Twitter. At Stew Morning is the Twitter for my podcast. The podcast you can find wherever you get your podcast at. Other than that, yeah, just one more thing. Next time you guys ever want to debate quarterbacks, I'm on. I'm here. I'm willing to do it. I spend most of my time in free time debating quarterbacks, and sometimes even in my head. So yeah, anytime.
Absolutely. We'll have you back on sometime, and we'll just have you and Kyle kind of going back and forth because I'll admit I'm just not an NFL guy. So, but hey, man, appreciate you coming on, and look forward to talking to you again soon.
All right, thank you.
All right, thanks, Stewart. All right, Kyle, we're going to go to a break. When we come back, how dad are you? That's what we're going to find out when we come back from the break. This is Dad's Watching Sports. We'll be right back. Coming up next week on Dad's Watching Sports, we'll continue with our NCAA tournament talk as we get ready for the Final Four. Also, we will talk the next round in our March Madness Moments bracket, and we'll be joined by Ryan Fagan of the Sporting News to talk all things MLB as we preview the 2021 Major League Baseball season. That's next week on Dad's Watching Sports. And we're back here on Dad's Watching Sports. Michael Draper and Kyle Castle. Special thanks to Stewart Brooking for joining us last segment to talk and make our way through the Sweet 16 of our March Madness Moments bracket. So, Kyle, what we're going to do, we're down to the Elite 8. We're going to put it back out to the Twitter sphere, Twitterverse, to get us down to the Final Four. And so we're going to put that out over the next couple of days, and we'll give a week's time for people to do that. And then we'll comb through that over the next week or so and get to an eventual champion of the March Madness Moments, which I'm very excited about. Kyle, before we get into any other talk for the show, it's my favorite time of the show. As always, it's time for some Monkey Knife Fight. Monkey Knife Fight is a daily fantasy sports gaming website for the casual sports fan. It's simple, fun, and Kyle, is very, very easy to play. Users determine which superstars are competing in the day's professional sporting events and will record more or less than the contest line provided. MKF's daily fantasy prop games play similar to the salary cap-based DFS games, but without the algorithms, Kyle, because we don't like math, lineups, or more importantly, sharks, grandma sharks, baby sharks, mommy sharks at all. There are several contests to choose from, none of which require hours of research required for competing sites. You can start with a simple 2 for 2 or go for the highest payout 100 times and higher by selecting an 8x8 more or less contest. You can get started right now with a 100% instant match bonus up to $50 with a promo code off the ball Monkey Knife Fight. They got a new logo on Twitter, Kyle. You got to check it out.
I'll do that.
All right, Kyle. So one more thing before we get into our next topics here to finish up the show. Kyle, have you heard of Manscaped?
I have.
Is this kind of like one of those things? Remember that commercial in the 90s? I think it was like a hair plugs thing where it's like, not only am I an employee, but I'm also a client. So you've heard of it. Are you also a client?
I am.
Attaboy. I know Mrs. Castles very much appreciates that. Well, not only are you a client, but I'm a client, and so is the Off the Ball Network. And if they are, that means that we are. So the Dads Watching Sports, the Off the Ball Network, we're very excited to be partnered up with Manscaped. And what we can do here is I got a couple of live reads we're going to go through so you can support for this show is brought to you by Manscaped, who's the best in men's below-the-waist grooming, Kyle. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. They obsess over their technology developments to provide you the best tools for grooming experience. Manscaped is trusted by over 2 million men in the world, including Mr. Kyle Castles.
Guy.
We have an exclusive offer for our listeners here on the podcast, Kyle. You can get 20% off plus free shipping when you use the code OFFTHEBALL at manscaped.com. That's OFFTHEBALL, off the ball, no pun intended, at manscaped.com. That's the coupon code. Again, 20% off when you do that, Kyle. So very exciting stuff here, being a partner with Manscaped. Thank you
for partnering with us, Manscaped.
Yes.
Their products are very good. I'll just word it that way.
They are. They sent us a little gift basket, which was lovely. Next week I'll have my Manscaped shirt on just to show that, and I'll have a little bit more info about the products that they sent to each of us. But very, very excited to be on board with Manscaped. I mean, it's kind of fitting. Here we are, dads. We've got back hair, we got hair everywhere. You gotta stay manicured. So,
well, some of us more than others, there, Mike.
It's true. All right, Kyle, we've just got a few minutes here left. We're gonna save the how dad are you for next week. So or maybe the week after. Let's get into very quickly. We are just a few games away from the Sweet 16, as the games will be finishing up tomorrow to get us down to Sweet 16 in the actual NCAA tournament. What have been your takes so far on what's been going on in March Madness?
My bracket's busted. We're in a pool together, and we use CBS to put the pool together, and in the app you can see which games you missed and how many games going forward you missed because I had Ohio State in the national championship. I had Illinois in the Final Four against Ohio State. So thank you, Loyola Chicago. For ruining that half, it's busted. But I mean, we had Loyola, easy for me to say, right?
Mm-hmm.
Loyola Chicago beating Illinois today. I'm pretty sure they were the first 1 seed going out.
They were.
It's always fun to see upsets, right? And Oral Roberts, and the game finished while we were in the show, but Oral Roberts making the Sweet 16, beating Florida after beating Ohio State.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a good time. We took the kids out of school early on Friday, went up to Buffalo Wild Wings and watched a few of the games, and just to have that kind of whole experience. And man, it's just, we have this bracket, the 64 best moments in NCAA tournament history. And for me, that's what it's about, man. It's about the moments. It's about the buzzer beaters, the Cinderellas. It's just so exciting. And the fact that we have it this year, we were robbed of it last year. Mm-hmm. And it's back, and it's not perfect. We had VCU who had to forfeit because of COVID issues, and Oregon.
I missed that game too because that was
there was no game. They didn't even get to play because VCU had COVID issues, and so they basically had to forfeit the game. And so it's not perfect, but we're going to crown a champion, and we're going to have those moments, and it's been awesome. It's going to continue to be awesome. So you didn't get a chance to do it last week. I made my Final Four picks. I had Baylor, Gonzaga, Florida State, and West Virginia, who got knocked out today. Mm-hmm. Who are your Final Four picks, Kyle?
Well, it was Illinois, Ohio State, Baylor, and Gonzaga.
Okay.
And I guess I got 2 of the 4. I mean, I'm not going to cheat now and look at who's left. Those were my Final Four. Illinois and Ohio State have both lost now. I still got Baylor and Gonzaga, but at this point, I apologize, Baylor and Gonzaga fans, for picking your team because apparently
you've been jinxed. That's right. Absolutely. All right, Kyle. Well, it's been a good show, man. Thanks for joining me as always. Look forward to having you back again next week. And we've got a special guest next week, which I'm very excited about. Ryan Fagan of the Sporting News is going to come on with us and talk some Major League Baseball as we preview Major League Baseball season. So we'll have him on for a segment next week. And then obviously we'll talk about brackets, both current and past. All right. Well, this has been Dad's Watching Sports. We will talk to you. Oh, but before we get out of here, Kyle, I got one more exciting thing to tell you about. So the NFL draft season is upon us, Kyle. We've got our friend Steve Rubio as a scout for the 49ers. He and I were talking actually last week. He's very excited about everything moving forward with the NFL draft. it's possible that you might have Trevor Lawrence's haircut in your pants, Kyle. That's I don't even really know where to go with that, but that's what the read says here. That's why your partners at Manscaped, the leaders in below the waist grooming, have partnered with us to make sure you don't gamble on shaving down there the same way you like to gamble on football. For all of my draft geeks, we have an exclusive 20% off promo code. Just hit it off the ball at manscaped.com. Get 20% off again. That's off the ball at manscaped.com. You get 20% off, free shipping. It's your time to turn the team in your pants around with Manscaped. And I'm going to try to get better at reading those without laughing, especially with Kyle absolutely losing it on the other side. This has been Dad's Watching Sports. I don't even know what to say after that. We'll see you next week.